The deleted scenes for Crimes of Grindelwald have finally been released, and they tell us a lot. We saw a lot of these scenes with small clips in the trailers, but when we went to see the actual film, it was lacking many of these clips we had hoped to see. So in this video, I'm going to break these deleted scenes down and explain their meaning and what it means for the future of the Fantastic Beasts films, as well as how it relates to the original series.
Cool.
There are deleted scenes with Dumbledore, Minerva McGonagall, Lita, Theseus, Jacob, Nagini, and Credence. Obviously, because I'm diving deep into the plot, there will be spoilers, so there's your warning. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started.
Brilliant.
The first scene that they cut is an extended version of Newt and Dumbledore's discussion in the beginning of the film. It starts with that classic shot we had seen in the trailer, where Dumbledore used his Deluminator to put the streetlights out. This paid homage to Dumbledore doing the same thing on Privet Drive in the very first scene of the very first movie. The scene then goes into Newt asking Dumbledore why he sent him to New York, and Dumbledore responded, saying that he knew Grindelwald would try to go after Credence. It's interesting that Dumbledore knows every move that Grindelwald is going to make, but as we found out in the film, he can't make a move against him because of their blood pact. This cemented the fact that they cannot fight each other. Dumbledore continues, saying that Grindelwald had a vision years ago where an Obscurio killed the man he feared above all others. Newt then says "you," referring to Dumbledore. This is huge to the plot and is something very big to leave out of the film. This means that Grindelwald going after Credence in the first film and during the events of this film is all because Credence can be used as a weapon against Dumbledore. And as I said, the two have a blood pact, meaning that they can't go after each other. So both have chosen someone to use as a weapon against the other. Dumbledore chose Newt, while Grindelwald chose Credence. Taking this into account, it's very possible that we will see a big battle between these two, which would be epic. This deleted scene also says that both Newt and Credence went head to head while being used by Dumbledore and Grindelwald without knowing it. Dumbledore says to Newt that he had hoped Newt would deprive Grindelwald of his weapon, not killing it, but by saving it. And Newt came pretty close to doing just that in the first film, but of course, the man that was using Credence as a weapon stepped in before he could. Now, at the end of the film, Grindelwald told Credence that he is a Dumbledore. So could this mean that all of that was a lie just to manipulate Credence into turning on Dumbledore? It's a good pitch on Grindelwald's part. If Credence thinks that he was dropped from his own family, thrown out for no good reason, and forgotten, that could build up a lot of hate and anger for his supposed brother who was in charge after their parents died. As I said in my review for the film, I think Grindelwald was lying, and it just so happened that a phoenix was drawn to Credence, and Grindelwald saw that and took advantage of it. Moving on to the second deleted scene, we get an extended scene with Newt and Jacob before leaving the country. Newt loads up a whole pack of nifflers into a suitcase. Newt replies to Jacob's fear of taking all of them, saying that he fixed the lock and said that nothing gets out without his say-so. I guess he learned a lesson from the first film. We then get a shot of the OG Niffler from the first movie, the original escapee that started the whole series. Newt ends the deleted scene, telling the OG Niffler to set a good example for the baby Nifflers. The third deleted scene is by far my favorite, and it focuses on Lita Lestrange, my favorite character from the film. This is also the longest and most in-depth deleted scene. Most of the film, at least the back half of it, focuses on her and her tragic backstory. The deleted scene starts with Lita and Theseus walking into a fancy wizarding ball. Right away, we get a huge Easter egg of Lita mentioning Yaxley. He's related to Corbin Yaxley, who was a ministry worker when the trio broke into the Ministry of Magic during the events of the Deathly Hallows. He sided with Voldemort, the Death Eaters, and Umbridge, along with their Muggle Registration Act. We know that they're a pure-blood family, so it's no surprise that a Yaxley is at a fancy ball like this. As he looks over at Theseus and Lita, Lita says it's all about blood with Yaxley, referring to his family being pure blood and being obsessed with status. Lita is a Lestrange, one of the most renowned pureblood families in the wizarding world, so it makes sense that Yaxley would want to mingle with her, a fellow pureblood from a renowned pureblood family. Here we also get some more development and interaction between Theseus and Lita. He says that she's the most beautiful woman in the room and promises her that after he congratulates Yaxley, that they will dance and he won't say a word to anyone else for the rest of the night. The way they look at each other says a lot. It's clear that they're happy, laughing and making faces at each other, and it's clear that they're in love. To be honest, I wish that they kept this in the film. I made a video about Lita's life and theorized who she said I love you to right before she died, and I said Newt, which in my opinion, judging by the film, minus this deleted scene, was a pretty good theory. But had they added this, I think it would have changed my own opinion on who she loved. But they might have done that on purpose to throw us off, to make us ship Lita and Newt more. It might play an important part in the future of the film series, who knows. The next part of the scene is the best and most important part. While Lita is alone, people start to whisper, asking if it's her, and saying that her brother is alive, because at that point in time, everyone thought that the rumor about Credence being her brother was true. As we know from the film, she was the reason her real brother died when she switched the babies, her real brother and Credence. This then led to her little brother drowning in the ocean, wrapped in a blanket. Hearing these whispers around her must have really affected her, because that night that her brother died has haunted her whole life. Even a boggart that shows your worst fears transformed into her brother drowning when she approached it. We then hear one whisper saying, "Her brother will lead us from the shadows." This was said by one of Grindelwald's followers who had fallen for his charm, his message, and his agenda. And it's not strange at all to hear someone at that party say that, as many purebloods were probably there, and purebloods are the most likely to agree with Grindelwald's ways. Lita then watched the performer, described as the woman with wings from the water. The girl danced alongside water that she made fly in the air. A man then congratulates Lita, saying that her brother lives and that they all truly believe it. Lita then becomes entranced by the dancer, and a look of horror comes across her face as the water resembles her drowning brother, her worst fear. It's truly a magnificent scene, but I can see why they cut it. We got enough development on that area of the story from the boggart scene. It told us everything we needed to know about her grief and agony of losing her brother and how it haunted her, so we didn't need two of basically the same scene. I do wish that they added the Lita and Theseus part though. The fourth scene focuses on Credence and Nagini. The two were sleeping in what looks like a romantic way, so clearly this tells us that there might be more going on than just friendship, which makes sense judging by how upset Nagini got when Credence went through the fire to join Grindelwald. When it pans down to Nagini sleeping, her eyes are open, a trait that snakes have. I thought this was a really cool thing to throw in to go along with her maledictus condition of her ultimately turning into a snake. However, after a simple Google search, I found out that the reason snakes sleep with their eyes open is because they don't have eyelids. And we clearly see Nagini does have eyelids in other scenes. And come to think of it, after learning this eyelid thing, it's funny to me that the snake in the Philosopher's Stone winks, something that shouldn't be possible without eyelids. Anyway, Nagini and Credence wake up and go out on the roof. Here, Credence tells Nagini about his worries that his mother might not accept him. Nagini comforts him and says that everything will be alright because they're free. And we then get a shot that we saw in the trailer a few times. Credence shoots out black obscurial essence, and it dances around the Eiffel Tower and finishes by going through Nagini. The next deleted scene has to do with these two again. This time they both comfort each other, and we see their lives while on the run, sharing a loaf of bread. Credence takes Nagini's hand and kisses it, once again leading me to believe that they have a much more romantic relationship than the film originally showed. This scene says so much without a word of dialogue. It's honestly a sin that they cut this and the other scene between the two out, because it gives the two so much more depth. In this one scene, I felt more for these two characters than I did in the entire 2-hour movie. Both of them did not get enough screen time, and I think that had they added these two scenes, it would have added a lot to their arc, especially when Credence joined Grindelwald. It could have been a lot more powerful. The last scene we see is a bit of a controversial one. We see McGonagall and Dumbledore interact, but as many of you know, the placement of McGonagall in this time period is factually inaccurate, as she wasn't supposed to be born yet. And now, in this deleted scene, it proves that it really is Minerva McGonagall from the original series, because they say her first name, which they did not in the film. So how Rowling is going to write her way out of this one, I have no idea. Let's just hope we don't revisit Time Turners, because look how well that went. In this scene, we also see a shot of Dumbledore that was in the trailer, and they show the bracelet that restricts him that Travers put on him when he visited Hogwarts. To me, it's also interesting the way that the scene ends, with Minerva looking at Dumbledore leave in a somewhat admiring way, which again goes hand in hand with the relationship in the original series. Thank you so much for watching, guys. You can follow me on social media. Links for that will be down below. If you like this video, make sure you press that subscribe button to help grow the channel. I want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons listed below. If you want to be featured on the next video, plus get a bunch of other rewards, check out my Patreon. Again, thank you so much for watching, and look out for more great videos on the way.